All right, good evening. Welcome to the September 24th meeting of the Nixa City Council. Call the meeting to order.
Kelly Morris.
Here.
Matt Ogden.
Here.
Sean Lucas.
Here.
Aaron Peterson.
Here.
Darlene Graham.
Here.
Zern Vess.
Here.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, if everyone has had a chance to review the consent agenda, as long as nobody would like anything pulled from that, I will accept a motion.
I'll make the motion. Second.
First by Ms. Graham, second by Mrs. Morris. Roll call, please.
Kelly Morris.
Yes.
Zern Vess.
Yes.
Aaron Peterson.
Yes.
Matt Ogden.
Yes.
Sean Lucas.
Yes.
Darlene Graham.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right. Next up is the visitors section. If there's anything that is not on the agenda that you would like to speak to, you can do so at this time. Do we have anyone sign up ahead of time?
Steve Buchanan.
Hello, my name is Steve Buchanan. I live at 694 North Montego, which is District 1. I'm having a little issue with my neighbor running his sprinkler way too long and flooding my yard and my neighbor's yard. And I want to find out if the municipal code covers that. I found a section and I wanted to ask if you thought that would work. It's 1689, destruction of property. No person shall tamper with, break, cut, deface, or injure any manner whatsoever any house, building, fence, gate, sign, ornament, or shade tree, shrubbery, light post, awning post, telephone, telegraph, electric light, and so forth, or any other property of any kind belonging to another. I had called code enforcement a couple of months ago, and they said they weren't aware of any ordinances that might cover the situation. I think they were looking at it from a water conservation point, and I was just hoping I could get your opinion on this and how it might work.
I'm guessing you've kind of exhausted all options and talked to your neighbor and
Yes.
everything?
Yeah, I talked to him one time. He's kind of hard to answer his door. I sent him a polite letter explaining the situation.
Okay. Off the top of my head, I don't know anything that would do that, that'd be against that, but I guess that's something we could definitely look into. I'll talk to, unless Joe has something.
Mayor, I would just encourage the gentleman to contact the police department and have them come out and talk to an officer, and he can explain your options at that time, so.
Actually,
Okay.
I did. I have a case number.
Okay.
But I didn't follow up and have somebody come out yet.
Yeah, I
So
would
what-
encourage you to go ahead and have them come out. They can document any damage, and then we can go from there.
Think it might be vandalism?
Well, one of the elements is gonna have to be intentional, so we have to look at that as one of the elements. So if it's unintentional damage, that's it's slightly different than intentional damage, but we can certainly be the go-between you and your neighbor to try to get this resolved.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you, Chief. Yeah, thank you, and I'll get your contact information and follow up here soon.
Okay. I've got my email is on the card I turned in.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jack Carnes.
Good evening. My name is Jack Carnes, and I reside at 622 North Maplewood Hills Road. I wanted to make the council aware, much less the citizens of Nixa, that there's many amendments on the ballot this November, but one that strikes me to the heart and the core of who we are as human beings is the Amendment 3, and I'm encouraging all the citizens to vote no. I'd like to read, and I've brought some additional information for anybody that would like to have it. But one, I'm not sure if everybody's aware that the parental consent laws will be eliminated. If a right to abortion is enshrined in our Missouri Constitution, it would allow abortions to be performed on pregnant minors without notice or consent to the minor's parents. That's shameful that we as parents won't have any clue if our underage children are considering an abortion or go through that process. But also, if our Missouri Constitution is amended with this right to abortion, abortion will be allowed for physical or mental health for all 9 months from conception to live birth. That means until the last toenail is out of the womb, out of the birth canal, that person can conduct an abortion. Missouri's pro-life laws will be eliminated. Our Missouri Constitution is our state's supreme highest law governing document. Our pro-life laws in more than 60 sections of the revised statutes of Missouri will be eliminated by enshrining a right to abortion in our Missouri Constitution. Also, women will lose the ability to sue for malpractice. A woman's ability to seek criminal prosecution, civil penalty of any person who performs, assists, or provides support to induce, seek, or obtain an abortion will be eliminated. Any of us, doesn't take a doctor, any of us as a citizen can perform that abortion. And what's shameful is that they have no recourse, none whatsoever. And if you weren't aware, abortions are enshrined as a right in our Missouri Constitution. Your legislator will be unable to refuse to appropriate funds to abortion providers. These are taxpayer-funded abortions. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of this. There's many amendments. I believe there's 9 in total, but Amendment 3, I'm encouraging everyone, vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carnes.
You don't want to speak? Okay.
All right, if anyone else would like to speak about anything that is not on the agenda, go ahead and do it at this time. If not, I will go ahead and close the visitor section. All right, moving on. First reading, Council Bill 2024-31.
First reading, Council Bill number 2024-31, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa, amending Chapter 2, Article 4, Section 2-51 of the Nixa City Code for the purpose of deleting the set fee for LED streetlights. Presenting is Assistant Public Works Director Travis Cossey.
Thank you, Becca. Mayor, Council, tonight for first reading for your consideration at the October 8th meeting is a bit of a housekeeping item. In October of last year, we adopted a new fee schedule in an attempt to consolidate all of our fees throughout the city into one convenient location. Of course, whenever we do something like that, there's often growing pains, and this is one of them. One of the sections that we did was to pull some of our information from our technical specifications manual over into this ordinance, specifically related to our electric materials. When developers develop a project, we provide all the materials that are needed for that subdivision or that project to develop. Those costs are reimbursed by the developer at our replacement cost. In the miscellaneous section of 2-151, we included a section that mirrored the language that was in the technical specifications to provide that at the time of development, the city will provide all the materials necessary. Developers will reimburse the city for the replacement cost of that item. In other words, we neither make money nor lose money on an item. This is very beneficial to the developer in that they get to reap the benefits of our bulk buying processes. Because we buy materials in bulk, we are able to pass that cost savings on to the developer. However, the unintended consequence was that there was a leftover piece of the old code that got overlooked whenever we were looking at that ordinance and establishing that ordinance. So the housekeeping item is to remove the section that alludes to the established price for a street light in order to have it fall under that miscellaneous item, which is that the cost of the street light will be reimbursed to the city based on the replacement cost of that item. So that as the street lights fluctuate up and down in material costs, we're able to pass that cost savings back on to the developer by having them pay for the established price or the purchase price of that street.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Francis.
All righty, thank you.
I will open up the public hearing. If you would like to speak on this, do so at this time. And I will close the public hearing. Any further discussion from council? All right. Moving on, second reading Council Bill 2024-28.
Second reading Council Bill number 2024-28, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa annexing approximately 29.6 acres of real property generally located at the northeast corner of the intersection of Nicholas Road and Mount Vernon Street, zoning said property to the General Commercial GC zoning district, and amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 1, Section 2-27 of the Nixa City Code. Presenting is Planning and Development Director Scott Gappy.
Mayor, Council, good evening. In front of you tonight is the annexation of roughly 29 acres. It's 3 parcels located at the northeast corner of Mount Vernon and Nicholas Road. About a month ago, there was an administrative minor subdivision performed by the property owner through Christian County, because that is where the property currently is. It split off the 5 acres on the north piece, or the north 5 acres of the piece next to Leanne Drive. That will be a topic here on the agenda a little bit later. But the property owner did submit 3 petitions for voluntary annexation. The time that we have been working with the property owner, it was during our time when we still were under our old comprehensive plan from 2003. Even when they submitted for this annexation, we are still under the 2003 comprehensive plan. So this property is compact and contiguous to current city limits. This is the actual annexation plat. It shows you that roughly 5 acres on the north piece there. This is the future land use map from the 2003 comprehensive plan. Kind of that red blob in the middle is the intersection of Nicholas and 14. These specific properties are located in red, which signifies general commercial is the appropriate use for these properties. When we do compare it to what is in our new comprehensive plan, which again was adopted after this annexation was submitted, you'll see again kind of a brown color where this one is. That signifies a mixed-use development. Now, the city doesn't have a standard mixed-use zoning district that we can just apply to any property currently. What we have is a plan unit development mixed use, which requires the property owner to have a full-blown development plan. And as far as I'm aware, this property owner does not have a full-blown development plan for the entire 29 acres at this site. He does have ideas as to what will go here and what will go there, but as needing a PUD, he does not have that at this time. So what is being proposed, like an office building or a police station, those are allowed in the general commercial zoning district. All utilities are readily available on site. Sewer is being analyzed to determine whether or not how much capacity basically can still flow to the northeast. If it is determined that the sewer flow cannot go that direction, it will flow to the southwest, which will require a sewer extension to the property, but it will also require the developer to wait for the Oakmont lift station to come online. We are obviously in the process of getting that designed and getting all proper easements and stuff ready for that one, so there's still some time before that one will be ready. Electric, the property did have a different electric provider on site. The property owner wishes to use Nixa Electric. By new state statutes, they are required to disconnect from that service provider for at least 90 days prior to annexation. That 90 days did pass last week, and they did have all the previous service provider completely remove their service poles and meters from that property. So when this property does develop, it will be served by all Nixa utilities, which is water, sewer, and electric. At the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held earlier this month, the P&Z Commission did vote to unanimously recommend approval to City Council for both the annexation and the requested zoning of general commercial. In addition, this property will be added to Council District 2. Staff does recommend approval. If you have any questions, I am available.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Gabi.
Thank you.
There are no other questions. I will open up the public hearing. If you would like to speak on this matter, come on up.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. City Clerk is going to pass a handout for you to aid in the comments I'm going to make. Again, good evening, and appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm aware that in the day-to-day operations of government, there are codes and regulations to follow. Without them, there would be chaos. Community members are a little freer in their movement, though, which leads to competing interest with city rules and regs. I hope we can all keep in mind the caveat that having a law or ordinance allowing you to do something does not make it the right thing to do. City Council Bill 2024-28 is one such occasion, because by approving it, City Council will legally apply a general commercial or GC zoning code to 29 acres of land bordered by Leanne, Mount Vernon, and Nicholas Road. I hope you will reconsider this bill as it is written. To help you think about this, I have provided each of you with a 3-page handout, which includes a cover page, a map showing suggested zoning options, and a copy of a petition that residents from 20 homes in our neighborhood signed. As these residents and others walk along Leanne, or look west out their windows, or stand on their porches, this zoning designation just doesn't seem right or proper. It actually feels like an invasion of neighborhood tranquility that has existed since 2007 when these homes were built. And this is because GC zoning allows for 157 types of enterprise, including wastewater treatment, truck and utility trailer renting and leasing, convenience stores, multimodal transit centers, and hotels and motels. These examples don't seem very compatible with front porches, kids, and neighborhoods. And while this kind of development may look good on paper and maps and is allowed according to city codes, we don't live on a piece of paper. And that is our concern. Why? Because commercial development with unabated noise and traffic in a neighborhood will affect both the public safety and health of residents. And when looking at other residential neighborhoods near Mount Vernon and Nicholas, where commercial zoning borders homes, it's always bordering backyards and not front porches. Plus, if you adopt this front porch invasion model as a practice in our neighborhood, many other neighborhoods in Nixa will face the same sort of invasion as land near them is annexed into the city. In short, using the GC zoning designation in this area would not be a good image for a city that touts itself as a master planned community dedicated to core values such as vibrant livability, hometown feel, and strong neighborhoods. If you pass this bill without referring it back to committee for further study, or by not making adjustments to the bill itself, as allowed in City Code Section 101-299, it is clear that you are not looking out for the interests of the residents of Nixa. In meetings with city officials at City Hall during the past few weeks, and in the petition that we shared with you via email on Monday, and in tonight's handout, we asked for 2 changes in the GC zoning set for Track 2 in this bill. And you can take a look at the map in the handout and see what I'm explaining. First, we recommended GC zoning for the southern portion of the land in Track 2, which borders Mount Vernon. This space could easily be created using the administrative subdivision process, which was used to create the lot for the new police station. Second, table zoning for the remaining acreage in Track 2 until development plans are known or further study takes place to better define plans that are compatible with this neighborhood and any other similar neighborhood in Nixa that may face this issue. In closing, I urge you to use your authority, that which you have, to take measures protecting the long-term viability of residents and neighborhoods in Nixa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. I will leave the public hearing open if anyone else would like to speak on this.
Hi, my name is Ryan Carter. I'm at 204 North Leanne. Not very good at public speaking, so forgive me. My house, walking out our front porch, would overlook this field. And I request, like Mike did, that we table the zoning of that southern portion until we know what the development plans are for that land. I don't see the rush in zoning it immediately in order to leave the door open to that 157 options, including some that would not be very nice to walk out on your front porch and look at. Also, Leanne is a very quiet street right now, and opening it up for multiple commercial properties right now would just be a very dangerous situation with the amount of young children that we have living on our road. So I understand the police station. I'm not arguing that fact. I understand the corner of Mount Vernon and Nichols where the purchase of the land wants to build its building. Not arguing that fact, but that 14 acres on the south side zoning, or tabling that zoning for this meeting would be beneficial until we know what the plans of that land is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. If anyone else would like to come up and talk?
Hi, my name's Emily Geronis. I live at 203 North Bondo Way, which is on the other side of the road here. And I'm also proposing not to annex it right away when we don't know what's going to go in. My daughter is one of the kids that lives on these streets, and she's walking, and we're nervous about what's going to go in, honestly. The police station is what it is, but we're worried about how fast these police cars are going in. Why does the entrance have to be on Leanne Drive? Why can't it come from the street? And I also think it's interesting that the land was purchased for $155,000, which is way below market value, and we didn't even get enough notice to even talk to our neighbors about the annexation. So I don't see why there's no reason to move forward like this. We should have extra time because this affects our neighborhood. And it does look good on a piece of paper, but we live there, and we have lived there. I've lived there personally for over 8 years, and I am shocked that it's not going to be a residential zoning when a church is right there, and that whole subdivision. So we're just requesting to delay the vote if possible. And half of our neighbors didn't even get a notice on this annexation because they lived more than 180 feet. So that, I guess, doesn't affect their property value, which is interesting. So I guess I'm proposing to wait a while so everyone knows what they're really getting into. And if there's no plan for it, why is it necessary to vote on it right now? Thank you.
Thank you. I will say the amount that the city paid for that property was the appraised value. I believe the appraisal will probably be public, so you're more than welcome to look at it. All right, anyone else like to speak?
Yeah, my name is Jaden Raven. My family resides at 210 North Leanne Drive. We're pretty much smack dab in the middle of Leanne there, facing the property. Obviously, over the last 3 years, we've overlooked this field, and knowing that it's not our property, you know, it's been something that we get to look out and we get to see, but we knew that the potential was there for it to be sold and developed, but I agree with everyone that sits behind me to my right. This is a neighborhood. This is our home. This isn't meant to look out over a hotel or a gas station or whatever else. I have a 1-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. We walk this road. Again, I believe someone the first week that the meetings took place asked if it was one of your homes, would you want whatever's taking place in front of our homes to be in front of yours? So yeah, I think rather than rushing it over 3 meetings time when there's nothing concrete in the plans, why rush it? Why not get a little bit more clarity as to what the plans are? Yeah, so I would ask that it's reconsidered. And again, the police station, it is, you know, there's some appeal to it. There's the safety aspect of it, you know, and I 100% support our police and our emergency crew, but what does that look like for Leanne? What does it look like for sirens and speeding and, you know, and again, that's not to take away from anything that they're doing, but yet again, we have families here, we have kids here that play on these streets that, but yeah, so I would strongly recommend or suggest that it's reconsidered or at least tabled for a while until some more concrete plans are put into place. So, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Raven. Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Rhonda Sanders, and I live on Leanne Drive, 304 North Leanne Drive, directly across from what's going to take place. I, like the rest of the neighbors in the neighborhood, sit out every evening on my deck, have lived there since 2008. Before my daughter was born, I have one child as well. And all I do is watch the children all play every day. I am also concerned very much so about not being able to look outside anymore and see. I'm not sure, as everyone else, what's really going to go there. I'm worried about my property value, if it's going to go down. So facing those kinds of issues, I am very concerned. I've been concerned since I saw that it was sold after all this time. I just, like everybody else, I'm not sure what's going to go in there. I support our police too as well. I'm glad that we have them. So many things seems to go on every night. I just asked as well if maybe we can just be, I mean, like everyone else said, sure, that looks great, but I agree with what everyone said. I mean, if that was your home in your neighborhood, that you've lived there for a long time, that we wait. We wait and just, before we jump to quick decisions that maybe just don't need to be, I just think we need to wait. Just wait and see what transpires before we go and make these huge decisions about these huge changes of what may not be the best for our families, our children, those that are pregnant also, and they're going to have more children. Our neighborhood has been filled this way for many, many moons. That's all I can remember. So I would just ask that everyone just maybe think about what you're going to do before we make these decisions and vote right away. And thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. All right. Anybody else like to come up and talk? All right. All right, last chance. All right, if nobody else wants to come up and talk, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And any discussion from council?
So mainly you're referring to track 2, right, on this map, the one that's the 14 acres, that's across from Leanne? The rest of it's okay, just that one tract?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, if you're looking at the map, track 2 goes from track 1 all the way down to Mount Vernon.
Right.
So our suggestion was to continue GC zoning like is on the east side of Leanne, right across the front there at track 2, if developers would want that. And then as that open section, there'd be continuity if GC zoning went from east of Leanne, west across, right across the front of Mount Vernon. There'd be continuity of GC zoning right on Mount Vernon. It's just that middle portion between track 1 and the frontage on Mount Vernon that we're really speaking about.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. So this-
Darlene, currently, the map on the screen shows you how the property is divided currently.
Yeah, well, I'm just kind of glancing,
Right.
knowing
Yeah.
that there's hiking straight across from Leanne is the big issue.
Right.
But thank you, Sean.
So if I'm understanding that correctly, it would be like
Yeah.
the city forced them to zone it a certain way?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all that, please.
Is what you're saying, is that for the city to kind of, well, force them to zone it a certain way?
Or take it off commercial?
Well, I guess recommended them that they change their zoning request. They could eventually get all GC, but at this point, without any building plans, it makes it a Pandora's box. We're perfectly fine with that first chunk, and I don't have a measurement for that, I apologize, but it's a mirror image to what's on Mount Vernon already, on the east side of Leanne. And that would make a contiguous section of general commercial along Mount Vernon, where it exists right now, on the southern half of this track 2, and then continuing over to track 3, all the way over to Nicholas. That would be a great starting point to recommend to the developer. Track 1 is already spoken for, so if this leaves 14 acres, a little under half of the total, well, I don't know what that, I wish I was a surveyor and I could have got all the measurements, but I think that the diagram is fairly clear.
They're supposed to have access through their big house.
Do we know how many access points they would have on, if they get more on Mount Vernon, right? They wouldn't expect all the traffic to go down Leanne and up Nicholas, right? There's already a couple there, I think.
I believe MoDOT already cut in 2, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. There's
2 on Mount
2 others that
Vernon.
would, so not all the traffic's going to go down that road.
And currently, that's one lot with our lot, the lot that we're purchasing at the back of it.
Yeah.
I think I was agreeing
It's
with
not
Jared, I
everything
think
in
there
front
was
of
a
it.
couple access points already
Yeah, it's not,
cut into it across
it's
there.
not divided into multiple lots to have different zonings.
Thank you. Yes, I believe there are 2 access points on Mount Vernon, but discussed at the last meeting was the issue of access and egress on Leanne. If there are cuts in on Leanne for any development on that track 2, there does not need to be any traffic studies. And again, that is one of the conundrums with this development, just the way the streets are set up and the type of streets they are. Mount Vernon has the cut-ins, but there's no guarantee that those would be used at all for any development in this track 2. And then any new cut-ins on Leanne, no traffic studies needed. And right now, the speed limit on Leanne is 25. It is wide enough for a middle turn lane to be added, but of course, to do that, all parking would be eliminated, and it may have to go to 30 miles an hour to accommodate traffic. I don't know. But that's how a similar street is set up in Nixa, 30 miles an hour, 3 lanes with the center lane being a turn lane, but no traffic study needed for that to be approved through city planning.
And just a reminder, the public hearing is open, or is closed, and the portion of this is council discussion. So if you wanted to ask a question, honestly, it should have been done earlier. So this is for you guys to discuss.
I was asking you.
Yes. No,
Sorry, I
I'm
wasn't
aware.
asking, yeah,
No,
I was
I'm
asking
aware.
you or Scott. Sorry,
Yeah.
If it came across different.
It's also not, I mean, you guys have seen it a lot, it's not uncommon, I mean, not, a lot of times when you're annexing in land, or rezoning it, that's done well before, sometimes even months or years before any plans have been submitted or we know what's going there. It just shows the either landowner or person who is going to list it, to sell it, their intent going forward. Any other questions from council?
And to annex in, we do have to have a zone on that property.
Correct.
And so that's why we can't table a zoning resident. We have to have a zoning, and the applicant requested a general zoning,
Correct.
general commercial. And it is for the one, I mean, it's for all 3 lots. I'm guessing the lot that we're purchasing is already divided off, so it's for the lots that are
The 2 there.
along Mount Vernon.
Mhm.
And there's only 2 lots there.
And then I did have one question, and this is probably going to be more geared towards Mr. Woodman. On the request of the city, I mean, I guess kind of do an executive order zoning on the front portion. I have never done that, never heard of that whenever I was on P and Z or since I've been on council. Is that something that is ever done, and is it even legal?
I think it's been done before. I can't speak to if it's been done here in Nixa, but for a prior city that I represented, yeah, you had zoning districts that didn't conform to lot lines. For us to do something like that, we would need a legal description for the area that you would propose to zone to something different in order to have that described in a way that we could figure out what that was with particularity. But, it's possible that we have a code provision that says we don't do that and don't present those to you, but that wouldn't be binding on the council. That would be something that you by ordinance, which is what this would be, could describe. But right now, in order to accomplish that, you need to postpone it, and we'd have to go grab a legal description for the area that you're proposing to change from whatever the request is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, would you have to prove why it would be non-conforming? I mean, typically, I would think that stuff is more geared towards downtown areas with older businesses and,
Yeah, well, so whenever I have encountered it, it's been an old thing where lot lines have been adjusted and they didn't follow what the original, they didn't follow what the zoning was that was established when the lots were created, and the lot lines have been moved, and there just wasn't, a follow-up action to have the zoning track whatever the new lot line would be. I guess to follow up on that, I don't think I've ever seen it where it was intentional, that was the scheme from the beginning, was that we would split the lot with 2 different zoning districts.
gotcha. Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. If there are no other questions, I will accept a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
First by Mr. Ogden, a second by Mr. Lucas. Roll call, please.
Aaron Peterson,
Yes.
Darlene Graham,
I'm kind of torn on this, but at this point, yes.
Kelly Morris,
Yes.
Sean Lucas,
Yes.
Matt Ogden,
Yes.
Zern Vess.
Yes.
Understand at a time.
Motion carries for Council Bill 2024-28. All right. Next up, second reading Council Bill 2024-29.
Second reading Council Bill number 2024-29, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa, amending Chapter 101, Article 2, Division 2, Section 101-72 of the Nixa City Code for the purpose of allowing the Planning and Zoning Commission flexibility in scheduling regular meetings. Presenting is City Planner Brendan Justin.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In July, Council discussed allowing for some flexibility in the dates and times of council meetings. That discussion led to planning staff inquiring about similar measures for Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. Staff discussed the possibility with the Planning and Zoning Commission at the August 5th meeting, and there was significant interest in starting meetings earlier and allowing for the ability to schedule meetings at a day that works for all commissioners. Currently, the code requires the Planning and Zoning Commission to meet on the first Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m. The proposed amendment would do away with the specific time and date requirements and simply require the 1 meeting per month. Staff still plans to hold meetings on a regularly scheduled and as consistently as possible, and will maintain the current schedule through the rest of this year. You guys had brought that up at the last meeting, recommended that we amend the language to at least keep the schedule for the rest of the year and come up with something if we would like to for next year. So additionally, this amendment would allow for the scheduling of special meetings without a majority vote from the commission. The current code language requires the Planning and Zoning Commission to have a meeting to vote on scheduling another meeting for a special meeting or an emergency meeting. This amendment would allow either the planning director or any member of the commission to call for a special meeting should we ever have the need arise. At the September 3rd Planning and Zoning meeting, the commission voted unanimously on this amendment to recommend approval to you, City Council. These amendments would allow for pliability when scheduling the planning and zoning meetings, which will help to ensure we always have consistent quorum. It would also streamline scheduling of emergency meetings if we ever have the need to, which is quite rarely. and staff recommends approval of this code amendment. And we're here if you have any questions.
Any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, if there are no other questions, I will open up the public hearing. If you would like to speak on this. Fair enough. I will close the public hearing. And I don't know if you guys know, the reason I asked for it to be amended was so it didn't interfere with any of the upcoming schedule for the budget workshops and things like that. So starting after the first of the year would be the best for that.
So we need to vote on the amendment first and then the,
Yes. I don't have the amendment on here. All right. So starting out, I will accept a motion for the,
I'll make
Yeah.
the motion for the amendment.
Second?
first by Mr. Lucas, second by Mr. Vess. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries. Now I will accept a motion to accept Council Bill 2024-29 as amended.
I'll make that motion as well.
Second.
First by Mr. Lucas, second by Mr. Peterson. Roll call, please.
Darlene Graham,
Yes.
Aaron Peterson,
Yes.
Matt Ogden,
Yes.
Kelly Morris,
Yes.
Zern Vess,
Yes.
Sean Lucas.
Yes.
And the motion carries. All right. Moving on to second reading, Council Bill 2024-30.
Second reading, Council Bill number 2024-30, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Nixa amending Chapter 2, Article 2, Division 2, Section 2190 for the purpose of clarifying the city administrator's contract authority, presenting is City Attorney Nick Woodman.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm before you this evening to present on Council Bill 2024-30. We had a first reading of this item at the September 10th meeting. What we're attempting to accomplish here is to clarify in the city code in section 2-190, which contains a general delegation to the city administrator to execute contracts on behalf of the city, to clarify that authority extends to situations where the city is not expending funds in an amount over $5,000. Currently, the way it's written, even if the amount of the contract would be over $5,000, then we would have to bring that forward to the council for approval. The city administrator couldn't execute that through the authority of this code section. So we're just trying to clarify that it applies when, that the authority applies when the city is not expending funds in excess of that amount. I'm happy to answer any questions. And with that, staff recommends approval.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Woodman. All right. I will open up the public hearing if you would like to speak on this council bill. I will close the public hearing. Any other discussion from the council? All right. I will accept the motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
First by Mrs. Morris, second by Mr. Ogden. Roll call, please.
Kelly Morris,
Yes.
Sean Lucas,
Yes.
Matt Ogden,
Yes.
Darlene Graham,
Yes.
Zern Vess,
Yes.
Aaron Peterson.
Yes. Motion carries. All right. Moving on to the resolution section. First up, Resolution 2024-53.
Resolution number 2024-53, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa ratifying the execution of a real estate purchase and sale agreement for certain real estate related to a new police department facility, presenting as Police Chief Joe Campbell.
Make sure I get this thing close enough. Mayor, Council, last year the voters approved a sales tax increase to fund the construction of a new police department. Now, through our ongoing work with our design team and our owner's representative, we've determined that there might be potential savings on construction costs by building the new police facility in an alternate location other than the existing police department property. Additionally, we identified concerns about the city's ability to accommodate long-term growth within the other departments that are located in the City Hall government complex. These growths in these other departments could be hampered if we were to build on our particular piece of property, and that would certainly squeeze this location. And then we would ultimately be looking for an alternate piece of property for growth in those other departments as well. Now, we were able to identify a piece of property to the west of Leon Drive that would be suitable for construction of the police department. And in an executive session, the city council authorized the city administrator, Jimmy Lyles, to negotiate with the current landowner for a purchase of approximately 5 acres. C.A. Lyles was successful in that negotiation, and the city is under contract to purchase that property from the owner for $155,000. Now, by purchasing this property, the city will potentially save money on the construction costs associated with the civil complexities of the current police department property. Now, what I'm talking about there is the current location we have is we have a large water retention basin out here. We have we have stormwater that runs through the middle of the property, and when we started looking at that a little closer with the civil engineers, it became a little more complex on how to build on this particular piece of property. And with it only being about 2 acres of land, we just didn't have a lot of options with how to do that. Certainly by going over to the west here, purchasing this 5 acres, it gives us a lot more opportunity to change the design of the building, the layout. It lets us go from a multiple-story building to potentially a one-story building, which apparently will save money on bracing for multiple stories, elevators, things of that nature. So there's certainly the ability for some cost savings to go back to a one-story facility, which is, quite frankly, more desirable anyway. This particular purchase will be accommodated from the year-to-date revenues collected from the sales tax. And then, of course, it's staff's recommendation that we move forward. You guys approve this and ratify the vote for the purchase of this property. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? Thank you, Chief.
Huh?
All right, if there are no other questions, I will open up the public hearing if you would like to speak on this real estate purchase. All right. I will close the public hearing. Any further discussion from council? All right, if none, I will accept a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
First by Ms. Graham, second by Mr. Ogden. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion is carried. All right. Next up, Resolution 2024-54.
Resolution number 2024-54, a resolution of the Council of the City of Nixa authorizing the city administrator to solicit qualifications for architectural services for the redesign of the front entrance to the Nixa Community Center. Presenting is Assistant
Katie.
Parks Director Katie Buford.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Looking for permission to post an RFQ tonight for architectural design work. Redesigning the front entry and reception area of the community center. This project has 4 main components. 1, a more controlled entry, better customer service experience. Looking at the possibilities of a 24-hour access to the fitness center. Reworking maybe where offices might be for better storage, more efficient services there. And then once those elements have all been considered, looking at that probable cost and then having plans to be able to hand over to possibly complete that project. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
No other questions. I will open up the public hearing. And I will close the public hearing. Any further discussion from council? If not, I will accept the motion.
So made.
Second.
First by Mr. Peterson, a second by Mr. Vess. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Okay, that is all on that. Couple things that I have. This Thursday, the 26th, from 10 to 4 at Aldersgate, have the Mayor's Challenge Blood Drive. So if you haven't gone on the CBCO website, picked your slot, you need to do that. Because I would like for that trophy to stay in my office. I don't like to lose. Yeah, we actually moved ours from City Hall over to Aldersgate because of the size. They've been really packed in here the previous years and wanted a place a little bit bigger. And the other thing, a couple things actually. Saturday the 28th is the Care to Learn Boots and Bling, 6 to 10 at Finley Farms. It's always a great time, raising a lot of money for an amazing organization here in Nixa. And then the Multicultural Festival was a lot of fun, a huge hit. A lot of people there. It was great up until it wasn't. The storm kind of
Came in fast.
came out of nowhere, that wind, and I think myself and Chief Campbell and Chad Pline were holding on to 10 by 10 canopies, trying to keep them from blowing away, and it was it got a little crazy for a little bit, but I think my shoes are still wet from that. And then another thing, I believe it is October the 13th. Let me find the information real quick. It's the American Legion is doing a donation drive. It's a drive-through. I think that one's on the other one. Is it 12th or 13th? Hold on.
The 12th is a Saturday.
Okay.
13th is a Sunday.
Let me double check, because I want to make sure I get this right. It's the 12th. Okay. And I believe it's all day. Let me double check. But they are, while I look at that, they are accepting all sorts of donations, any kind of toiletry items, no matter what it is, and clothes. So they're working to help out the veterans in Mount Vernon. I guess the veterans home there is in need of all sorts of supplies. So they had, the commander, Nick, had reached out to me and asked if we could kind of help them promote that. We did at the Multicultural Festival, but I mean, literally, I got this list here and it's extremely long. I'll post it on my Facebook page, but I mean, it's everything from razors to lotion to detangling brushes and combs and sprays and shampoo and pretty much everything you could think of, even, you know, chapstick, sweatpants, t-shirts, just about anything they will take. And it's just a drive-through on the 12th. You just drive up and they'll take it from you and you'll feel really good about yourself and you'll help someone out. So I believe it is at the Legion, yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's all I have for right now. Anybody else?
Yeah, right now with the hurricane coming in down south, we have sent 2 crews from our utility departments to go down to help. That's one of the benefits to with our partnerships with MQA and everybody else. When we need help, people come to help us. So we are fortunate enough to be able to have guys, good enough guys to go and help other places also. So just keep them in their prayers. And working in storms like that is a very dangerous job. So they'll be working long hours. So when they get back, we need to make sure to thank them. So
Most definitely. Thank you.
I had a little update from the parks I wanted to go through.
Okay.
So I just asked Mr. Kraus to provide me with some of the statistics from the summer. He stated that approximately 30,000 visitors came to the pool, verified visitors this summer, which doesn't include the private parties or swim meets or swim lesson people that came and watched. That's just verified visitors. Our baseball, softball, t-ball participation for both sessions was at 1,262 participants. Summer It Up served 861 participants this summer, and we also had 222 participating swim lessons. There were also 35 participants in the swim team. He had a note here that the shortened season due to the late opening kind of affected the registration on those. So it sounds like we had a pretty good summer. First one back with the pool actually open again. And then the other thing I wanted to mention too is this Saturday is the last Movies in the Park, which you so eloquently promoted at the
And I already
multicultural
forgot,
event.
yeah.
And that will be the Haunted Mansion. And so,
The 2023 version.
correct, the newer.
They've also started digging out the splash pad,
Yep,
Yes, they
and
have.
Construction's started on it. So
Starting on that.
so it'll be ready next May.
that's all I've got.
All right. Anything else from staff?
Don't forget, a week from tonight, October 1st, is our budget work session, 6 p.m. We will provide dinner. It's that time of year again. We need your input.
Came on quick, didn't it?
Budget already.
Mayor, I just wanted to mention real quick, if you probably acutely aware, we did have two significant events that happened with our schools. Last week, we had two separate bomb threats at our elementary schools. I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand and appreciate the amount of work and effort that went in for multiple agencies that actually participated in that. I don't want to call it an exercise, but that event. We had multiple jurisdictions, law enforcement, we had fire, EMS, and school, and it worked very well. We did, I felt like we handled it very well. We were able to put our plans that we have in place. The school did an excellent job on their end with communications and things of that nature. And as always with these things, you do learn what worked and what didn't work. So we did have a debrief after the first one, and we were quickly able to even apply some of those things the very next day. So I'm very proud of my organization and all the other organizations that were involved in that. And God forbid we have to do that again.
Yeah. You know, and that actually kind of reminded me of something that I wanted to touch base on, especially going into budget season, is we've had numerous instances, whether it's with the police department or if it's utility billing or whatever department, where the amount of money that we pay for training has shown to be extremely valuable. You know, like today, I mean, where are Jimmy and Cindy? Training. I mean, the more you learn about your job and what, you know, and how you can do it differently or better, it shows with a lot of decisions that have been made, without saying too much, in certain things, especially with the PD. And I mean, we have the right people making hard decisions and doing a really good job doing it, whether it's with someone at the PD or it's someone that's upset about their utility bill. And you know, the worst thing that can happen is them deal with someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. So I appreciate, honestly, it's not so much about the money that we spend to do it, it's that our people are willing to go and try to learn more. That's the reason that we're getting the call to come help people, because our guys are good, they know what they're doing, and they trust our guys to come help. So I think it's definitely shown a lot lately with certain things that have happened, and I really appreciate the leadership and what you guys do to get your people to go do additional training, and we just need to get Nick to start going to these shows and stuff with us. He never goes with us. He goes to ones that none of us would ever want to go to, so his stuff is boring. So I do appreciate it a lot, so thank you. Anything else from council or staff? You guys have anything back there? Okay. All right, if nothing else, Mr. Peterson?
I move that city council go into closed session under section 610-021-2 of RSMO. I also move that this closed session, records related thereto, and any votes taken by the council during this session shall be closed under section 610-021 RSMO, and that the city council shall stand adjourned after the closed session.
Second.
First by Mr. Peterson, a second by Mr. Lucas. Roll call, please.
Sean Lucas,
Yes.
Matt Ogden,
Yes.
Aaron Peterson,
Yes.
Darlene Graham,
Yes.
Zern Vest,
Yes.
Kelly Morris.
Yes.
Motion carries.